After more than 2 years of silence, Tony the little boy everyone thought would never speak, finally uttered his first words. But what moved people to tears wasn't just his voice, it was the journey behind it. The countless nights Hoai Ca stayed awake, worrying the early mornings when Hung quietly took extra jobs just to afford Tony's therapy sessions. They endured rumors, pitying looks, and endless doubt, all for one moment, a single word, Mom. And then one golden afternoon, Tony looked up, lips trembling. Dad, Mom. That hesitant voice shattered the stillness of their small home, filling it with pure joy. Was it a miracle, born of love, or just the beginning of another challenging chapter? Don't look away. This story will make your heart go silent one beat at a time. In front of a small traditional medicine clinic along the quiet provincial road, Hoai Ca gently adjusted Tony's jacket. The early morning mist still clung to the leaves, and the faint scent of herbal medicine lingered in the air. The little boy stood close to his mother, his wide eyes fixed on the wooden sign that read, Consultation, Acupuncture, Speech Therapy. Hung stood beside them, holding a small bag, his heart caught between worry and hope. He looked at his wife, then bent down to pat his son's head. Today, we'll see the doctor here, okay? He'll help you learn to talk. Tony didn't respond. He just looked at his father and pressed his lips together. That small gesture made Hoai Ca's heart tighten again. More than 2 years had passed, and she was still waiting for one simple word, Mom. They stepped inside. The smell of herbs and wood, mixed with the soft hiss of boiling water, creating a space that felt strange yet peaceful. The old herbal doctor, silver-haired, calm voice studied Tony for a moment, then smiled kindly. He leaned down gently, patting the boy's shoulder. What a good kid. Don't worry. He's not broken, just taking his time. His mind is bright. Hearing that, Hoai Ca lowered her head, her eyes glistening. The months of fear and sleepless nights suddenly felt lighter. Hung sat beside her silent, but his eyes shone with quiet relief. The doctor asked them to let Tony play with objects, listen to sounds, and practice eye contact. He spoke softly. A child needs to open his heart first. When he feels joy, he'll speak. Don't push him. Don't be afraid. Outside, the sound of traffic drifted through the window as sunlight spilled into the room. Tony held the small bell the doctor handed him and gave it a gentle shake. The clear, ringing tone filled the space. He looked at his mother and smiled. In that moment, Hoai Ca felt something shift, as if her son was trying to speak in his own way. Hung reached for her hand and whispered, I believe. This time, he'll find his voice. Amid the warm scent of herbs, a fragile hope began to bloom, small, but glowing like the first light of day. Hung smiled, trying to stay calm, though his heart was full of worry. As he opened the clinic door, the scent of herbal medicine mixed with burning incense filled the air. Inside the small room, rows of wooden shelves were lined with jars of dried herbs, each labeled in old Chinese characters. In the middle, a thin, silver-haired man was tending to a kettle of boiling water. When he saw them enter, the man looked up with a gentle smile. Welcome. You must be Tony's parents. Hung nodded. Yes, sir. He's our son. He's almost 3, but he still doesn't talk. We've been to several doctors, and they all said he's fine, but we're really worried." The herbalist gave a small nod, his calm eyes full of understanding. He gestured for Hoai Ca to sit Tony down on a small bamboo chair. The boy looked around with curiosity, the jars of herbs, the bundles of dried roots, the strange earthy smell. He tucked his legs up and pressed close to his mother. "It's okay," the man said softly. "I'm just going to take a look, nothing scary." He sat across from Tony, his gaze warm and patient. After a moment, Tony looked up and met his eyes, then gave a tiny smile. It was faint, but enough to make Hoai Ca's chest loosen for the first time in months. The doctor gently took Tony's wrist, feeling his pulse, then nodded. "His body's strong. His reflexes are good. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just a little closed off. Maybe you've been protecting him too much, right?" Hung looked at his wife. Hoai Ca lowered her head, her eyes misting. She knew he was right. For so long, she had been afraid he'd fall, afraid others would laugh, afraid of everything. So she kept him close, never letting go. The doctor continued, "A child doesn't stay silent because of the mouth. It's because the heart hasn't opened. When a child doesn't feel the world is safe, they won't want to speak." The words hit her like a needle touching a wound. Tears slid down her cheeks. Hung placed a trembling hand on her shoulder. "We know. We just didn't want him to get hurt." The doctor stood up, poured a cup of tea, and set it before them. No child is unfortunate when they're loved by their parents. But when love is mixed with fear, it becomes a cage. And a bird raised in a cage, no matter how healthy, never learns to sing. The room fell silent. Only the soft hiss of the kettle filled the air. Tony picked up a small wooden spoon from the table and tapped it against a teacup clink, clink. The sound rang clear and pure. The doctor smiled. "You hear that he's talking. A child's voice isn't only in words, it's in actions, in the eyes, in play. Let him explore. Let him feel joy. When he's happy, the words will come." Hoai Ca looked down at her son. His lips moved faintly, his eyes brighter than before. Hung smiled, the first real smile he'd had in months. Before they left, the doctor reminded them, "At home, let him listen to soft music. Tell him stories. Don't force him to speak, just talk to him as if he already understands. One day, he'll answer you in his own way." Hoai Ca bowed in gratitude. As they stepped outside, sunlight poured across the yard, touching Tony's face. He turned toward his father and smiled. And for the first time, Hoai Ca heard a sound, faint, unclear, but real. A small, fragile voice. The beginning of something miraculous. Since the day they returned from the clinic, Hoai Ca had changed. She no longer carried Tony in her arms all day, no longer hovered in fear over every step he took. Each morning, she let him play freely in the yard, touch the dirt, pick up pebbles, roll an orange across the ground, listen to the birds. Whenever he looked her way, she simply smiled and said, "It's okay, sweetheart. Go play mommy's right here." Hung also started spending more time with his son. After work, He'd play games with Tony, tossing a ball, naming objects, playing children's songs. The little house that used to be so quiet was now filled with soft laughter. Tony still didn't speak clearly, but there was something different in his eyes, alert, curious, eager to connect. That afternoon, Hung placed 3 wooden blocks in front of Tony. 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 blue. Pointing at each one, he said slowly, "Red, yellow, blue." Tony followed his hand with his eyes, his lips moving slightly, and then came a tiny whisper like a breath of wind. Duh. Both parents froze. Hoai Ca shot up, her heart racing. Hung turned to her, his face lighting up like the whole house had filled with sunlight. "Did you hear that?" He said it. He spoke. She covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. 2 long years full of fear, doubt, and sleepless nights seemed to melt away in that one fragile sound. Hung's voice trembled as he kept going, trying to stay calm. "That's right, buddy, red. Now this one blue, see blue." Tony tilted his head, his eyes shining. Then with a bright smile, he made another attempt, his voice mixing the sounds together. Ba, blue. They both broke down, laughing and crying at the same time. Hoai Ca knelt down, wrapping her son in her arms, her words trembling through her tears. "You did it, Tony. You talked, baby. You really talked." Their laughter mixed with the wind and the gentle chime of the little bell Tony loved to shake. He looked at his mother, then pointed at Hung and said one short, clear word, "Dad." In that instant, time stopped. Hung froze, then burst into tears like a child. He dropped to his knees, hugging Tony tightly, his voice breaking. "Daddy's here, Tony. Daddy's right here." Tony giggled, his eyes curving like tiny crescent moons. The pure sound of his laughter drifted across the yard, past the banana leaves, past the old roof tiles, like it was waking up the quiet countryside. From that day on, Tony began speaking more. At first, it was just a few simple words, "Dad, Mom, ball leaf." But to Hung and Hoai Ca, every word was a treasure. When he mispronounced something, they didn't correct him. They just smiled and gently repeated it. The house that had once been silent was now filled with sound, clumsy, imperfect, but alive. At night, after Tony had fallen asleep, Hung sat on the porch, looking up at the stars. He whispered to his wife, "I used to think I'd never hear our son's voice. Turns out, all we had to do was believe, and he believed too." Hoai Ca nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. She remembered what the herbal doctor had said. When a child feels the world is safe, he'll find his voice. Now Tony finally felt safe because his world was made of his parents' arms, smiles instead of fear, faith instead of silence. A soft breeze passed through, and the wind chime at the porch rang lightly. From inside the room, Tony stirred and murmured a few sleepy words. Sleep. Hoai Ca laughed through her tears. "Yes, my love. Sleep well. Mommy's here." Night fell. The sounds of crickets blended with Tony's steady breathing. Under the quiet countryside sky, the two of them sat together, hearts full.